Hey everyone, and welcome to this channel. Alright, so today we're getting into something that's, well, it's pretty heavy, but it's so important to talk about. Modern slavery. I know it sounds super intense, but hang in there with me, because we're not just going to talk about the problem, we're also going to look at some very real solutions. So let's just jump right in. When you hear the word slavery, what comes to mind? Probably something out of a history book, right? Something that was stamped out centuries ago. But what if I told you that's not the whole story? That it never actually disappeared, it shapeshifted, it went underground, and now it's hiding right in front of us. To give you a sense of just how huge this is, let's take one piece of the puzzle. Forced marriage. According to the 2023 Global Slavery Index, on any given day in 2021, an estimated 22 million people were living in a forced marriage. That's more than the entire population of Florida. And get this, that's just forced marriage. We're not even talking about all the other forms. Yeah, it's crazy, right? Okay, so what are we really talking about when we say modern slavery? It's kind of a big umbrella term, so let's break down what it actually looks like today. So the formal definition, which comes from the group Walk Free, basically says it's any situation where someone is being exploited and they cannot leave. And why can't they leave? Because of threats, violence, deception, abuse of power, you name it. It's not one single thing, right? It's forced labor, it's forced marriage, it's something called debt bondage. Basically, anytime a person's freedom is stolen for someone else's profit or benefit. And this is where it gets really personal, because this isn't some far-off, abstract idea. It's literally in the supply chains for the phones in our pockets and the computers we're using right now.
That t-shirt you're wearing, it could be connected to women forced into endless overtime to pay off some made-up debt. The fish you might eat for dinner, it's everywhere. And that kafala system it mentions, wow, that's a system where a migrant worker's visa is tied directly to their employer. If they leave that job, they can be deported. You can just imagine the kind of power that gives an abusive boss. And this quote, man, this just hits you right in the gut. This is from Audi, a young woman in India, and it puts a human face on all these numbers. She thought she was joining a program to save up money for her wedding. Instead, she got trapped. She couldn't leave and was just constantly harassed and threatened. It's that psychological abuse, that daily grind that's just as powerful as any physical chain. Okay, so here's the part where we can't look away. This isn't happening in a vacuum. It's directly fueled by us, especially in wealthier countries. I mean, just look at these numbers. They're staggering. The G20, right, the world's biggest economies, they're importing over $243 billion worth of electronics that are at high risk of being made with forced labor every single year, and almost $150 billion in clothes. Our shopping habits, our demand for cheap stuff, it's a huge, huge part of what keeps this system going. All right, so where in the world is this problem the biggest? Let's take a look at the global hotspots. And I gotta tell you, some of these might actually shock you. Okay, so for just talking about the total number of people, India is at the top of the list with an estimated, get ready for this, 11 million people. China is next with about 5.8 million. And then you've got North Korea with 2.7 million, which is a really unique and terrifying case because it's often the government itself that's forcing people into labor. But check this out. This is the part that really made my jaw drop.
When you expand to the full top 10 list, you see countries you might expect, like Pakistan or Nigeria. But then you also see Russia, Turkey, and even the United States. And here's the real kicker. 6. That's more than half of these top 10 countries are G20 nations. Think about that for a second. The most powerful economic club in the world includes the countries with the largest numbers of people living in modern slavery. It's a massive paradox. So the big question is why? In this day and age, how is this still a thing? To really tackle it, we've got to understand what's fueling it. Well, for one, conflict and displacement are huge drivers. I mean, think about it. When a war starts, society just falls apart. The rule of law, gone. Your support network of family and friends, scattered. People are forced to run for their lives. And in that chaos, they are desperately vulnerable. And that's exactly when traffickers swoop in, making these false promises of a good job or of safe passage that are really just traps. Yeah. And an image like this of a camp for displaced people, it just says it all, doesn't it? When you have nothing left, when your family is sleeping in a tent, an offer of work, any work, can feel like a lifeline. You might know it's risky, but what choice do you have? It's this exact desperation that predators are counting on. And it's not just war. The climate crisis is a massive and growing piece of this puzzle. You have the sudden disasters, right? A hurricane or a typhoon that just wipes a whole town off the map overnight. But you also have the slow burn crises, like a drought that kills off all the crops over several years. Either way, people lose their livelihoods. They're forced to move, and they end up in these incredibly risky situations where they can easily be exploited. And we have to be really clear about something. This vulnerability isn't random. It doesn't just happen to anyone. It hits people who are already pushed to the margins of society. We're talking about systemic discrimination based on gender, race, social class, or caste, or being a migrant. These existing inequalities create the perfect hunting ground for exploiters, because these communities often have fewer legal protections and less power to fight back. Okay, I know this is all incredibly heavy and it can feel totally overwhelming, but please don't tune out, because this is the most important part. It is not a hopeless situation. Far from it. There are so many people fighting back, and there are real, concrete solutions we can talk about. So let's get into the good stuff. So the way forward really has to be a two-pronged act. On one side, you got the big players, governments and corporations. They need to step up. We're talking about things like criminalizing child marriage, period. No exceptions. Protecting migrant workers from shady recruiters. And this one's huge. Actually enforcing laws that hold companies accountable for slavery in their supply chains. But it's not just on them. The other side is us. It's technology and the public. We can use social media to blow the whistle, to raise awareness, and for survivors themselves to connect and find support. It's about creating pressure from the top down and the bottom up. And this story is just a perfect example of how technology is such a double-edged sword in this fight. There was a woman from Kenya who was actually trafficked through Facebook. A fake job ad, a promise of a better life. But then while she was trapped, she managed to post about her situation on that same platform. And because of that post, an organization found her and got her out. Her own words say it all. She said Facebook saw her into and out of the situation. It can be the tool of the trafficker, but it can also be the tool of the rescuer.
Which really brings us to the final question, doesn't it? The phone in your hand, the device you might be watching this on right now, it connects you to this whole story. It connects you to the problem through the minerals inside it and the factories that built it. But it also connects you to the solution through its power to share information, to organize, and to demand change. The problem and the solution are quite literally right in the palm of our hands. So the question is, what are we going to do with it? And that's our look at this epidemic hiding in plain sight. It is a heavy topic for sure, but really understanding it is the first, most crucial step. Now, the next step is talking about it. So I really want to know, what are your thoughts? How can we really harness technology for good in this fight? Drop your ideas in the comments below. We'd love to hear them. And of course, don't forget to subscribe for more explainers like this one. Thanks for watching.